Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Harry Muppet. We are going to be casting a Masters level 1v1 game. Up the top right side of the map, we do have our red Zerg player, Haffy. He is a Masters level player. And down the bottom left side of the map, we do have our blue Terran player, JohnShooter. He is also going to be a Masters level player, and we are going to go ahead and we're going to see what sort of crazy stuff happens in this game. Now, just while these guys are getting set up, I have recently published the monthly makeup for the Go for SC2 tournament. So that's got put up a couple of days ago. I've also been casting the EMS Spring 2013 tournament. Now, EMS is run by the ESL. That's the Electronic Sports League. I think that's what it stands for. And they're the same people that run the Go for SC2 Cup. And the EMS Spring 2013 is basically a clan-based tournament, so you've got this team versus that team, and they send out a whole bunch of different players against each other and stuff like that. Now, I've cast the semi-finals, and I'll be uploading them quite soon, and I've yet to cast the grand final, but I've got those replays, so those will be cast, if not today, then sometimes the next couple of days. So, very, very good games I've seen so far, some excellent... really excellent matchups, and I'm sure the grand finals will be even more impressive. So look forward to those. In the next week or so, I should have the whole tournament uploaded, depending how good my upload speed is. But right now, we're going to focus on this game. It's JohnShooter versus Haffy, good old TVZ, and not really much crazy stuff happening at the moment. The Zerg player's going for an expansion, off going for a spawning pool as well, so that's a fairly standard timing going down there. Terran player getting a gas before the Zerg player. That's I'm not sure how standard that is, but I guess it all depends on what tech you want to go for with the Zerg player as to how early you get the extractor. If you were to go for ling speed, for fast lings, you got to get it nice and early. If you're going for roaches, you can get it a little bit later because the roach warren doesn't cost any gas. So you've still got to wait for the spawning pool to come down and then for the roach warren to come down before you actually need a gas, and roaches themselves don't need too much gas. So when you start getting your expansion, you really want to pump out the roaches, then you want 2 gas geysers, but just starting up at this point you only need 1. Whereas the Terran player, they really need gas no matter what route they're going. I mean, if you go in Marines, you need either reactors or tech labs, so you need gas for that. If you go to Reapers, you need gas. If you're going for factory tech like Hellions, the Hellions themselves do not cost gas, but the factory does cost 100 gas to build. So generally, around the 13, 14 worker mark, you want to get a gas no matter which route you're going for as a Terran player. And depending on what route you're going for, you may need a second gas as well. Like Widow Mines, I expect you probably would need a second gas if you're going for tons of them, simply because they actually cost gas. So the fact that they cost gas means they're going to need a second gas to deal with them. Looks like he is going for some sort of ling offensive here. You can tell because he's stopped mining the gas as soon as he got enough gas to get the speed. So he wants maximum mineral saturation right now to get as many lings out as he possibly can. And we can expect to see him pump up the overlord numbers in the next couple of minutes as well. So he wants to time it so he gets, I don't know, 10, 12 more lings, maybe even more, out by the time the speed is finished. So you can see there's 1 more overlord coming out, and we can expect him to fully soak up that supply with lings straight away. But I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a more all-in sort of ling attack, a more put as much pressure as you possibly can, or if he's just he may even be just transitioning into, yeah, I don't know. He's back on the gas again, so he may be transitioning into mutiling, hydras, roaches, something like that. But taking those guys off the gas, he's obviously going for some sort of timing attack with the lings, because otherwise why would he take them off the gas? You usually do that when you want to go for a maximum amount of lings at a certain point, but we're really not seeing that. So the only thing I can think of is that he was going to go for a maximum amount of lings, and he just changed his mind and decided not to. And he's basically just pumping out the workers at the moment. And he does have the Evo chambers there. This one's, I don't think this is quite closed off there. It's not going to matter though, because he is not maybe is expecting Hellions, but he's not going to get Hellions. He's going to get a fairly decent Marine push, and here comes a massive amount of Lings, so maybe this is when his timing attack is coming out. And these Queens are going to have to run back, because against that many Marines, they don't really have any hope. There's a bunch of Lings coming out, but the Terran has got the chokehold using the Zerg player's own Evo chambers. So one Hellion goes down, a whole bunch of Marines. Some reinforcements coming up though. However, with those Lings coming out on the board, I do not know if the Terran player yet has enough to deal with this. However, the Zerg player has gone down and gotten his third base, and this is quite vulnerable at the moment. I do not think that the Zerg player can save it. Probably going to go down. The Queen's even coming out to help out, and the Marine numbers have been whittled down quite a bit by those Lings. And so a nice transfuse, they're going to save that Queen, and with the Lings coming out, the Terran player will have to get out of there. He does not have enough Hellions to deal with all of these guys. He's got some reinforcements now, and they're going to be able to deal with the Lings, but the problem is the Marine numbers are just getting too low to be able to deal with the Queens. And yeah, I'm really not sure if the Terran player can make this work. He might be able to take out these Lings, but the Zerg player has got his production capability up nice and high. He's even getting a Roach Warren out now, so this massive amount of Lings coming out, the Terran player is not going to be able to stand against this many Lings, and he's going to have to back out, otherwise he's just going to lose all of his forces. And there it goes, they all go down. Queen taking a few pot shots at the medevac, but the medevac's running back, and these reinforcements from the Terran player are going to have to run back as well. He's going to have to rethink his position. But the Zerg is going to go straight in. He's sending out 2 Marines to find that out, and he does find that out. But with 6 Hellions out on the board from the Terran player, these Lings are going to have to rethink their offensive. They're going to have to run back and probably wait for some Roach support, which is coming out right now. 6 Roaches coming out on the board. And with those 6 Roaches, the Zerg player could definitely think about taking down these Hellions, because here we go, they're on the creep now, so they're going to think about taking out the Hellions. I don't know if it's a massively good idea, but the Roaches are going to come out any second, and those Hellions are going to be in a lot of trouble when they do come out. He doesn't have Roach speed though. He's getting that right now, and once the Roach speed comes out, then these Roaches will definitely be able to counter both the Marines and the Hellions. Off creep though, they're a little bit slow, and the Terran player can possibly kite them. I'm not really sure, but look at this. He's with the Roaches coming out now. The Zerg player feels very comfortable. You saw him just building 18 drones right there. That is a stupendous amount of workers going down, and he knows that he has the advantage with these Roaches, so he's just gonna sit back, drone up like there's no tomorrow. And yeah, 54 to 48. The Terran player has not been slack though. He's been consistently building workers. Of course, as soon as I say that, we look at the command centers, there's no workers being built, but he's pretty much maxed out these 2 bases so far, so he's done an excellent job. The dropship going to go in here, going to do a bit of a drop. It's going to speed up and then go into the main base. But he is reinforcing Lings and Roaches coming out at just the wrong point, and not really much going to happen. He's actually might lose this medevac to just continuous Queen fire if he goes in anymore, so he's just going to choose to run away and yeah, live to fight another day. Unfortunately, he can't heal up these Hellions, but he can heal up the Marines that were inside it. What is the Terran player doing meanwhile? He's really going for the Hellion Marine, and I'm not sure I agree with this, because I mean, it may work, but the upgrades, it's just not going to suit his upgrade path, because Hellions, if Hellions are half the army, and Marines and Marauders are the other half of the army, and you got Widowmines as well, I mean, what upgrades do you get to really boost up your army? Because you can go for mech upgrades, you can go for infantry upgrades, and you really don't get the best out of either set of upgrades. So usually, that's why Terran players either go for 99% mech or 99% infantry with some support from tanks and stuff like that, because that's the only way that they really get the full usage out of their upgrades. You can see the Zerg player here, and he's going, I believe this is 2-2, so he's going down the Ling/Ultra route. So the Roaches, I believe, are only a temporary measure, considering what we're seeing here. The Terran player going in there with some Widow Mines and with some Marauders. He should be able to mop up these Roaches. But the Ling reinforcements coming out will change this play around. The Hellions going to roast through these Lings quite well, and it still looks like the Terran has the advantage here. But what do we got here? A few Overseers. He sees the Widow Mines coming out, so he's got to morph them, but this is a bad place to morph them. And the Terran forces coming in. They're going to get some nice hits off if the Roaches try and come in, try and attack these forces. Manages to soak up one attack from the Widow Mines, but the second attack hitting those Roaches is definitely not good. And these Marauders really helping out, really getting in there, doing the damage they need to do. And the Roach tech, not that good anymore. But he's getting very low on Hellions right now. It's basically Marines and Marauders left over. So Lings are going to do very well, and you can see him building a crap load of Lings right now. Going out there, going to try and make a move to take all these guys out. And the Terran player might be in trouble. Some Widowmine hits might help him out, but he's losing forces quite fast, and he's going to barely survive this. I do not think the Terran player is in any sort of situation to attack anymore. He's going to try and move in, and he might be able to just snipe this hatchery. He's going to get a final stim, manages to get the hatchery, and he's going to jump into all the dropships and get out of there. He's going to jump back in here. I don't think that's quite far away, but maybe he wants to save the Widow Mines as well. He cannot be in a good position to take out these reinforcements. He's going to have to run, and he is just lucky that the Zerg player does not have anything to take out Medivacs yet. Meanwhile though, Zerg has switched over to a third over here, so he's not going to have any problems. He's going to put another base down over here straight away, and he's going to be running on 4 bases. Question is, how many workers did he lose? Not that many. He lost a few, but the Terran player, he's got a little bit of reinforcements going in there, but the Zerg has gone for a very large amount of Roaches, and the Terran player is going to have to run out of here. He's going to load up in the dropships. There's some reinforcements coming in there, but they are not suited to deal with these guys. They're just going to have to run and get out of there. I think there was actually some splash damage from the Widow Mines hitting those Marauders, which is not good. The Zerg player knowing that the best way to deal with Widow Mines is to move right up against the Terran army, because Widow Mines will not stop shooting if there is dangerous splash damage on their own forces. But here we go. He's actually pushed them away, and he's going to hit this base. I don't know if it's got cancelled. I don't think it did. The Terran continuing to go for this Marauder force. Very heavy Marauder force. And this is what's really doing the damage versus the Roaches. That and the fact that he's got so many Medivacs that he can continually heal up his army. He's going to be doing a great job here. The Zerg, meanwhile, he knows he can't make it all the way to Ultras. And even if he did, the Marauder army is just too heavy for him. So he's going to start getting out some Hydras. Hydra's an excellent choice to go ahead against Marauders, and he may take out 2 Ultras later on after he's whittled down the Marauder numbers. And we go, a nice cancel there, so the Zerg player getting the cancel. Terran player doing a good job at keeping down these bases, but we've got a few Hydras out right now. They're going to go in, and this Hydra DPS backbone is really going to start to show against these Marauder numbers. You can see they're slowly getting whittled down. Bunch of reinforcements down in there. But once these remaining Hydras start coming out, this force is going to be in a lot of trouble. And we're going to see some Medivacs start getting sniped out as well by these Hydra numbers. You can see one goes down. This one will probably go down as well. It's got barely any health left. But right now they're concentrating on the ground forces. Looks like the Terran may know there's some reinforcing Hydras coming down now. And yeah, they're forced to get out of there. So he's going to have to start thinking about what he can do to counter the Hydras now, because Marine Marauder is not going to cut it. He may have to start thinking about tanks, or maybe he'll just have to start thinking about doing some good Widow Mine attacks. I don't think he's really teched out for tanks at the moment. No, he's only got 1 factory and it's got a reactor on it, so really not set up for tanks at the moment. But for all he knows, Hydralis may be just a temporary. He's actually getting Kinetis, whatever, fucking Ultralisk upgrade for armor. So that we can expect to see Ultras, just simply because he's spent so much on the Ultralist tech that it would be an absolute crime not to build any Ultras. And here we go, the Hydras though coming out. That's a fairly large amount of Hydras, and they are ripping through this Terran army like you would not believe. There's enough Terran forces to take them out. But yeah, the Terran player took quite a lot of losses there. He's continuously sending reinforcements out to this spot there. This is kind of a proxy rally point for the Terran player. He's got to run away, but he's not sending his reinforcements back either. So Maybe he's just sending him behind his reinforcements to try and heal him up. And meanwhile, he's got the forces, he's continuing to get up. His supply is completely off the chain. He's doing extremely well. He's getting a ton of workers as well. He's actually got his 4th base up. And really, he's just kept map control this entire base. He's done an excellent job. And yeah, he's really going in there, really good at shutting down the Zerg base. You can see he's going to snipe this one as well. And he's going to get out of there a bit unharmed. He's going to take a lot of hits. The Ling's going into the Marauders, doing excellent. And Ling's with Hydra's backup, man. That is really an excellent choice for dealing with Marauders. You can see a lot of forces died there. A lot of Marauder forces died there. And he really needs to start thinking about tanks if he feels that the Zerg player is going to push onto Ling Hydra as a serious part of his army. And it looks like the Zerg player is going to continue doing that because, I mean, why not? He's making it work right now. He's doing a massive amount of damage versus these Marauders and Marines. Cancelled that, so that was not too bad. But the Hydras, they've got the speed boost, so they're getting around here. They're finally starting to take out the medevacs. Meanwhile, another tac force coming in here. They've stimmed up to get an extra bit of speed, and they're going to go in. They're going to hit this base. I cannot overestimate how good the Terran player is at keeping these bases down. You can see he's got one building there, one building there. This one just got taken out. The Zerg player has been on 2 bases for the last 5 minutes or so. He has not been able to consolidate a 3rd base, and that is really hitting him hard in the economic department. And meanwhile, the Terran player has had 4 bases for quite a long time, and he has got the army supply tells it all. He has got a massive army supply, and he's got forces back here he's not even using, but he's going to send them out now, and he's going to get some stuff done. I think I saw the Zerg player building up some Ultralisks. Here we go, there's a couple of Ultras coming down. They got full upgrades, so he's absolutely got to get them out there doing some stuff. But the problem is, how are the Ultras going to do against this massive Marauder force? Because I don't think they're going to do that well. I think they're pretty well countered by the Marauders. I know the Zerg player feels like he needs to use the Ultras because he's got all the upgrades for them, but when you know the Terran player has this many Marauders, it's just not a good idea. It doesn't matter how many upgrades you have. It's not a good idea for Ultras when you know the opponent already has a counter. You saw those Ultras did absolutely nothing, man. That was about 1,000 minerals and 600-700 gas that just went completely down the drain. And yeah, I would have personally kept up with the Ling Hydra. Just the Ling Hydra combination was doing really good work for him. The Terran player was not teching into tanks. You can see he was still getting Hellions, and Hellions not bad. I mean, if you have a look at the Hellions, they do increased damage to light. So I've never really seen Hellions thrown against Hydras. I mean, technically they do extra damage to Hydras, but just the Hydra DPS, so massive. But I mean, Hellions still good against Lings, and if they got a nice flank while the Marines and Marauders were occupying the Hydra's DPS, then yeah, Hellions, I'm sure they could do quite a lot of damage if they really wanted to. But man, oh man, oh man. The Zerg, man, is just taking into Ultras, and that was a mistake. It doesn't matter if you got the upgrades. If you know the Terran player has that many Marauders, then you do not tech into a unit that he has already got counted. I mean, 39 Marines, 32 Marauders. That's a massive ratio. Usually you'd be seeing like 2 to 1 at the absolute most. So 2 Marines for every 1 Marauder, and then most of the time though you'd see even more Marines, so like 3 to 1 or something like that. But yeah, 32 to 39, that's almost a 1-to-1 ratio. Massive amount of Marauders. Our Zerg player, man, he's just going to be absolutely crazy to go for Ultras with that army composition on the map. And yeah, I mean, Ling Hydra, I think he might have held on a little bit, but yeah, I mean, not keeping up those bases really killed him. I think that's going to be the main thing. The Ultras, we're going for the Ultras with the icing on the cake for the Terran player, but really keeping down these bases really just won the game for the Terran player. And the fact that the Zerg was too busy trying to defend his bases that he couldn't go over, attack this 4th, attack this 3rd. There was not a single attack on the 4th or the 3rd this entire game. And yeah, the Zerg player stuck in a defensive mindset for the entire game. He never had the opportunity. I'm not going to say he never had the opportunity to push out. There were some gaps where he's like, alright, the Terran player's stopped attacking me. He's probably going to attack me in another minute or so. That is when you have to push out and you have to make an attack. And it's extremely hard to push out because you want to keep all your bases, your units back at your base to fend off the next attack. But if you get stuck in that defensive mindset where you're scared to move out because you're solely focused on pushing away the next attack, then you are going to lose because you are not attacking the opponent's economy, and they could be building up 6-7 bases, and if you're not attacking any of those bases, then you are going to lose. It doesn't matter how good your army composition is. If you don't have the economy, you're going to lose. So that's what you got to do. If you're being attacked, you manage to push them off, you focus on your economy, getting the bases up again, but you've also got to send your lings out round the side, attack these bases, get these workers down. You've got to, because when you do that, then you push the Terran player away. The Terran player gets pushed away and he has to start worrying about his workers now. You've got to hit his economy. If you don't touch his economy, then you are completely screwed no matter how good you are at defending your base. It just becomes irrelevant at that point. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching this Masters level game. Congratulations to JohnShooter once again for that excellent harassment. He was constantly sending forces in. He kept this base down. He kept this base down. The Zerg player tried to get over here. He kept this base down as well. I might have liked to see the Zerg player go over here, but I'm sure the Terran player would have kept that down as well. He was all over the place, and he really did a great job at keeping the expansions down. And yeah, congratulations to him. Nice attempt at defense by Haffy, but yeah, man, going for the ultras was definitely a mistake, and a lot harder to not make mistake, but still I think a more important one was not attacking the Terran bases. This was wide open. Not so much wide open this one, but he still could have done some damage. He could have gone around the back of the mineral line, attacked some workers with some roaches or something like that. Yeah, so a few mistakes there from Haffy, and yeah, well, thank you very much for watching this game. This has been Hairy Muppet. I hope you enjoyed.